For letting the new owner call the police after my mom gave my condo to my sister? My name is Maya. I am 30 years old and I just paid off my student loans. Yes, just like it sounds. What started as a principal balance of around $55,000 ended up being $75,000 with interest, origination fees, and everything that piles up when you have no one backing you. And yes, it is a lot. That is why I was celebrating it the way you celebrate things that truly change your life. I achieved it sooner than I imagined because when I graduated, I got a good job at a major tech company. At first, I started with a salary that seemed crazy to me, and over the years came raises, stock options, and increased responsibilities. Everything extra went straight to the principal of the loan without fail. There were months when the minimum payment was $600, but I paid double or more. That was how I chipped away at it month by month until it was finally over. I logged out, grabbed my car keys, and went to the store for a bottle of Cabernet. I did not want to make a scene or brag to anyone. I just needed a moment for myself. I went back to my rented apartment, poured a glass, and sat on the couch. My apartment was not a big deal. It had one bedroom and a decent kitchen. Nothing someone would show off on Instagram, but it was mine. More importantly, I paid for it without drowning in debt. And yes, I was celebrating alone. Why alone? Because my family and I are not what you would call close. We are one of those families that speak out of obligation and look at each other with a magnifying glass when money is involved. My parents, David and Linda, basically forgot about me when my younger sister, Chloe, was born. Today she is 24. The difference between how they treated her and how they treated me was stark, as if we were raised in different households. I remember one Christmas perfectly. I must have been 14 and Chloe about 8. I babysat in the afternoons to save what I could, and that year I was excited because for the first time I was going to buy gifts for everyone with my own money. They were not expensive things, but I felt proud. Chloe opened hers first. I bought her a premium art set because at that age she drew all the time. My parents got happy. Truly happy. What a thoughtful detail, Maya, said my mom Linda, as if she were surprised I could think of someone else. Then Chloe gave me a keychain. You could tell she had grabbed it from a dollar store at the last minute. My parents acted as if she had given me a masterpiece. Just look how creative Chloe is, my mom said with an excited voice. She chose it all by herself. That was my day-to-day reality. Chloe was the star. I was the one there in the background complying with expectations. Over time I stopped fighting it. I focused on school, skipped parties, and went into coding boot camps. While others went out to get distracted, I stayed in practicing. Not out of vanity, but out of necessity. I had a very clear idea in my head. If I managed to get into a prestigious university, if I did well, one day they would look at me differently. At least that is what I believed. I stayed up late, exhausted myself studying, and by the last year of high school I had a GPA that opened doors. When the acceptance letter from Boston University arrived, I almost fainted. It was a top-tier private university. For me it was huge, and they also gave me a partial scholarship covering 40% of tuition. Even so, with the scholarship I did the math 1,000 times. Between tuition, room and board, fees and textbooks for the 4 years, the remaining cost came to around $55,000. It was a lot, yes, but I really thought my parents were going to help me with something. They always talked about the importance of education. I will never forget that dinner. I was nervous, my hands were shaking, and I could hardly eat until I took a deep breath and said, I was accepted at Boston University. My dad David looked up from his smartphone as if I had interrupted something very important. That is the expensive one, right? Yes, but they gave me a scholarship for 40%. I just need to finance the rest. $55,000 in total. My mom stopped cutting Chloe's steak and looked at me as if I had said something irrational. $55,000, Maya? We do not have that money. I know it is a lot, but we could look at a private student loan or something. I will pay it back later. I just need you to support me with the start, specifically with being a co-signer. My dad cut me off. If you were so smart, you would have gotten a full ride. Then with a calm that made me angry, he added, obviously you are not as brilliant as you think. Chloe, at 12 years old and barely passing her classes, looked at me with a little smirk. She did not even have to say anything. She already knew her place at that table. It is my opportunity, I said, trying not to let my voice break. This program is really good. If I do well, I can leave with a strong job. It could change my life. Well, change your life by yourself, said my dad, returning to his phone. And we are not going to be co-signers. I do not want liabilities on my credit report. I insisted for weeks. I brought them information, payment plans, average salaries for graduate statistics, everything. I spoke to them as if they were reasonable adults. It did not work. They did not move an inch. The only person who was truly indignant was Grandma Rose, my paternal grandmother. Grandma Rose was different. She was one of those people who actually listen to you, who remember what matters to you. When I told her, she got angry like few times I had seen. What ungrateful people, she murmured, shaking her head. They do not know what they are throwing away. It is okay, Grandma, I told her, trying to minimize it. Maybe I will go to a community college or a cheaper state school. Don't even dream of it, she answered me. You earned that place. You are going. Period. And I went. I approached the financial aid office, asked for information, gathered papers, and took out federal and private student loans on my own terms where possible, taking the higher interest rates because I had no cosigner. It had a grace period, so I started paying 6 months after graduating. That gave me some breathing room, at least enough not to leave school with the pressure on my neck from day one. The day I left for Boston, I loaded my used sedan with what I had. It was not much. Clothes, my laptop, some boxes. My parents were rushing with Chloe, preparing her for a cheerleading event. Who knows which one? I was at the door ready. I am leaving now. Bye, my mom answered from inside without coming out to see me. Drive safe. That was it. No hug, no expressions of pride, not a tear, nothing. Chloe did not even peek out. The one who was there was Grandma Rose. She hugged me tight, one of those hugs that hold you up even if you say nothing, and she put an envelope in my hand. For an emergency, she whispered. Inside there was $100 bill. Surely it was what she could withdraw from her pension without hurting herself. University was hard, very hard. The first week I got a work-study job in the computer lab. 20 hours a week for minimum wage did not solve life, but it paid for meal plans and the basics. Also, I gave math and coding tutoring. Between classes, work, and homework, there were days when I fell asleep with the laptop open. I had to maintain my GPA. If I lost the scholarship, I would sink. In all that time, Grandma Rose was my lifeline. Every month a little card arrived, one of those Hallmark cards that smell like a wooden drawer, with $50 or $70 folded inside. Every Sunday without fail she would call me. Did you eat well? How are you doing? Did you rest a little? My parents, on the other hand, acted as if I did not exist. I spoke to them on obligated days like Christmas, Thanksgiving, and birthdays. The conversation was always the same. Hi, Mom. Just calling to wish you a happy birthday. Oh, Maya, thanks. How is school going? Good. I made the dean's list again. That is good. And then without fail, Chloe is on the homecoming committee, or Chloe is going to join I do not know what club, for 5 minutes. And that was it. They never asked what exactly I was studying, if I had friends, if I was okay, or if I needed anything. Nothing real. My last year arrived and I was at my limit. I had interviews with 3 major companies. My professors gave me great recommendations. I could already see the exit graduation day. The campus was full of families taking photos, crying, and shouting names. I stood up and searched among the crowd, although deep down I already knew. The call arrived the night before. Hello, sweetie, said my mom with a voice that sounded rehearsed. Congratulations on your graduation tomorrow. Thanks. Are you coming up? There was a silence. Oh, Maya, sorry. It is just that we already had a trip planned with Chloe. It was her spring break week and we booked months ago. You understand, right? I stayed quiet for a while. Yes, Mom, I understand. The one who did go was Grandma Rose. She took a bus and then a train to avoid the city traffic and expenses, arriving early. She sat in the auditorium as if I were the most important person in the world. When she saw me walk across the stage, she applauded me with a smile that made me want to cry right there. Then she took me to dinner at a nice bistro, one of those places with white tablecloths where they treat you calmly, where they serve you as if you were worth it. And for a while I felt that I did, that I was worth it. 3 weeks later I got a job at a technology company. I entered with a salary of $70,000 a year, plus full benefits. For me it was madness. I had never seen so much money. I went back to the suburbs near the city and stayed 6 months with Grandma Rose while I saved to rent something of my own. Those 6 months were the most peaceful I had lived in years. We cooked pot roast together, watched classic movies, and talked about everything and nothing. In those months I saw my parents twice. Just 2 times. And that was only because they went to visit Grandma Rose. They spoke to me like someone fulfilling a duty. "So you are working now?" "Yes. In a tech company." "Ah, that is good. Stable income." And that was it. The rest of the visit was talking about Chloe. When I finally moved to my apartment, Grandma Rose helped me choose furniture and gave me dishes and kitchen things she did not use anymore. Details that for me were gigantic. 6 months after graduating, the real challenge began. The payment of the student loan, about $600 each month. And if I went with the minimum, it was going to be like that for 10 years or more. That day I promised myself that I was not going to live carrying that debt. I tightened my budget, ate simply, drove a used car, and every extra dollar that landed, I threw it at the loan principal. While I did that, Grandma Rose unintentionally told me news about my family. Chloe already entered a very expensive private university. She told me one day as if it were normal. "And your parents are going to pay for everything?" I asked. I froze. "What do you mean they are going to pay for everything?" "They took out a home equity loan on the house," she explained. "They say it is an investment for your sister's future." My jaw dropped. The same ones who told me they did not have money. The same ones who denied being co-signers. The same ones who made me feel that asking for support was an entitlement. Suddenly they could. Then came more things. They bought Chloe a new Honda Civic when she turned 21. They paid for a trip to Cabo San Lucas when she graduated because she deserved it. I listened without making drama because the truth is I was used to that difference. And so we arrived at the present. Me on my couch with my glass of wine, finally seeing my account without that debt on top. I grabbed the cell phone and called Grandma Rose. "Grandma, guess what?" "What happened, honey?" "I just paid off the loan. It is over." She stayed silent for a second and then her voice broke a little. "That deserves a celebration. Come over on Saturday for dinner. I will cook. I will make that chicken pot pie you like." On Saturday I stopped at the grocery store before going to her house. I bought a nice bottle of wine and a cheesecake from the bakery. One of those that Grandma Rose said who knows what sugar they put in it, but it tastes great. She loved it. When I arrived, Grandma Rose had gone all out. The table was set with her fine china, the house smelling of freshly baked biscuits. She prepared roast beef, mashed potatoes, green beans, and warm rolls. We sat down and started eating, laughing like always. At 20 minutes in, they knocked on the door. "Who could it be at this hour?" murmured Grandma Rose, standing up. I heard voices at the entrance and my blood ran cold. It was my parents. I heard them talking to Grandma Rose and she invited them in out of politeness. "Come in," she said. "Maya is here. We are eating." They entered the dining room casually, as if appearing out of nowhere in my life was normal. My mom gave me a quick nod. My dad just said, "Maya." "Hello," I answered with a tight throat. "Sorry for stopping by like this," said my mom. She did not sound sorry. We were in the neighborhood and thought about saying hi. Grandma Rose, as always, was already setting more plates. "There is enough food. Sit down." My mom swept the table with her gaze. "The nice dishes, the food, the wine. What are you celebrating? This looks like a party." I did not want to tell them, but Grandma Rose looked at me with those eyes that said, "Tell them." And well, there was no way out. "I paid off my student loan," I said. My parents exchanged glances. That type of couple look that does not need words. "Already?" asked my dad as if the math didn't work. "How did you do it so fast?" Before I could answer, Grandma Rose stepped in proudly. "Maya works in a very good company. She is doing very well. She achieved it all by herself." My parents looked at each other again, but this time they did not ask anything else. They just nodded and started eating. 2 weeks after that strange dinner, I heard nothing from my parents. That was normal, honestly. But one Tuesday night while I was making dinner, my cell phone rang. "Maya," said my mom. Your dad and I think it has been a while since we spent time with you. We want you to come to dinner this weekend to talk properly, to reconnect. She hung up without letting me respond. I stared at the screen. They were planning something. My parents did not host dinners to reconnect. Even so, I went out of curiosity more than desire. On Saturday, I drove to the house where I grew up in the suburbs. I tried to go early because if the afternoon traffic catches you, everything takes forever. Everything was the same. The beige siding, the hedges already half neglected. The driveway where my dad always left his truck parked sideways as if the street belonged to him. I knocked. "Maya, come in," said my mom with a tone that was too cheerful. Chloe was already there sitting in the kitchen scrolling on her smartphone. She looked up when I entered and scanned me from head to toe. I was dressed simply, jeans and a basic sweater from a department store. Her eyebrow went up a little as if she were grading me. "Hello, Chloe." "Hey," she responded without emotion. She was wearing designer athleisure wear, a smartwatch and holding the newest iPhone. Everything screamed money, and I could not help thinking about who paid for that. "Dinner is almost ready," announced my mom. "Maya, tell us about work. How is it going?" "We are getting there," I thought. "I like what I do." "That is good," said my dad from the kitchen. "That tech industry pays well, right?" "Well, it depends," I answered, taking care not to sound boastful. And the interrogation began, but disguised as family interest. "How big is the company? How many people are in your department? Do you work with Fortune 500 clients? It must be going well for you," my dad blurted out when we sat down. "I mean, paying off that loan. Not just anyone can do that." "I stuck to a budget and that is it," I said. "I lived within my means." My parents looked at each other again. Dinner continued, but I felt like they were observing me as if they were running an audit. For them, my life was pure assets and liabilities. Chloe dropped small, well-measured comments. "Are you still renting over in the city?" she asked as if it were normal conversation. "Yes. It must be super expensive. With what you pay in rent, you could buy a place if you wanted someday," she added. I responded without taking the bait. A few days later, they appeared at my apartment without warning. They said they wanted to see where I lived. The truth is I did not want to make a scene with the neighbors or the landlord, so I let them in. They came in, walked around looking at everything, asking how much rent I paid, how much for utilities, and what the neighborhood safety was like. Chloe would say, "Oh, how quaint," with a tone that did not sound nice. When they left, I was left confused. What was all that about? Why did they suddenly care about my lifestyle? A little time passed and I kept thinking about it until one day I went to Grandma Rose's house, as always. We were drinking tea in her kitchen when she stared at me seriously. "Maya, I have to tell you something and you are not going to like it." I left the cup on the table. "What happened, Grandma?" "My friend Margaret, the neighbor next to your parents, called me yesterday. She says she heard something I should know." "What did she hear?" Grandma Rose sighed heavily. "She was in her backyard gardening. You know those houses have low fences and if someone speaks loudly on the patio you hear it clearly. She heard your parents in the back. They were saying how they were going to convince you to buy a condo for Chloe." My blood went to my feet. "What do you mean by a condo?" "Your dad said you have no debts anymore, that you earn well, and that you have no dependents spending your money. Your mom was saying that since you have disposable income, it is your turn to help your sister." Everything fell into place in my head. The dinners, the questions, the surprise visit to my apartment. It was not affection. It was that they were assessing my financial status. "I cannot believe it," I said, shaking my head. "Years without looking for me, and now they remember me because of money." "I am sorry, my child," said Grandma Rose. "I hesitated to tell you, but you deserve to know. You did me a favor. Now I understand." I stayed quiet for a moment and then said, "I am going to act like I know nothing, but I am going to move." "Where are you going to move?" The truth is, I already had an idea circling me for months. My boss Michael had mentioned that they were going to open more positions in a new headquarters in Austin, Texas. The following Monday, I knocked on his office door. "Do you have a minute, Michael?" "Sure. What is up?" "Remember you said the Austin branch was going to grow, and they were going to need people?" "Yes. If it is still available, I am interested." Michael looked at me as if measuring if I was serious. Let me check with HR, but I think it can be done. When would you like to transfer? As soon as possible. 2 days later, he confirmed. They want you there. They are raising your salary to adjust for the role and providing a relocation package. If you organize yourself, you could be settled in a few weeks. That afternoon, I went straight to Grandma Rose. I am moving to Austin, I told her. Her face fell. It is far. I know, Grandma. It hurts me to leave because of you, but I cannot stay here with my parents wanting to manipulate me to pay for Chloe's life. I got closer and took her hand. I only ask you one thing. Do not tell anyone. Until I am already there. My lips are sealed, she said. And then she hugged me. I am going to miss you. Me too. But we will FaceTime and you can come see me when you can. Do what you have to do, she told me. I am always going to be on your side. The following weeks I started preparing everything in silence. I notified my landlord, started packing in sections, and hired a moving company. I took care not to post anything on social media, not to say anything to anyone who could repeat it. Meanwhile, my parents kept calling. When are you coming to dinner again? My mom would say. We have something important to discuss with you. I answered them calmly. I have been busy with a project at work. We will see later. Until one day my mom called with a firmer voice. Maya, this weekend you need to come. It is important. Yes, I am coming, I told her. That Saturday, I went knowing it was probably going to be the last time I entered that house for a long time. I had already given notice from my apartment. The move was scheduled for Monday and my flight to Austin left Tuesday morning very early so as not to be rushing. Chloe was already seated when I arrived, almost bouncing in the chair with excitement. My parents looked nervous but determined. When we finally sat down with the plates, my mom took a deep breath. Maya, we want to ask you something. Tell me, I said, cutting the chicken as if nothing was wrong. My dad adjusted himself in the chair. Chloe has been looking at real estate. Chloe jumped in fast. I found an incredible condo, Maya. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with granite countertops, a balcony with a city view. The building has a fitness center and even a roof deck. Sounds expensive, I said without raising my eyebrow too much. My mom looked at my dad. It costs $325,000. My stomach tightened. Here it came. We have looked at the numbers and right now we do not have enough for the 20% down payment or the closing costs, said my mom. You know, appraisal, title insurance, legal fees. So, continued my dad, we were thinking you could support your sister. Co-sign the mortgage, my mom finished as if it were borrowing a scarf, or even cover the monthly mortgage payments at the start. You are already free of debts. Chloe was smiling as if she already had the keys. I left the fork on the table and looked at the 3 of them. How much would the monthly payment be? My dad did not even pretend. Like $2,800 a month, depending on the interest rate. Then he said what truly lit a fire inside me. But I swallowed the anger. But you already earn much better than when you started. You have no debts, you have no heavy expenses, nor a partner who is taking money from you. You can do it, he said of my life as if it were a spreadsheet. I breathed, smiled, and nodded slowly, as if I were considering it. You know what? I have no problem helping Chloe. The 3 of them lit up. Seriously, squealed Chloe excitedly. Thanks. My mom's eyes almost got moist, but not from genuine emotion, but from relief. So it is done, she said. We have an appointment at the bank next Friday at 10 in the morning. It is to start the loan application and sign the cosigner documents. You meet us there. Perfect, I said. We finished dinner with Chloe talking nonstop about curtains, furniture, and West Elm decoration. My parents would not stop thanking me, saying they were proud that I supported the family values. I just nodded calmly. That night I returned to my apartment and finished packing. Everything was ready. Monday the movers arrived on time. I supervised how they took my things down. I signed the handover, returned the keys to the leasing office. That same Monday night I stayed at a hotel near the airport, one of those chains where you sleep with the cell phone charging and the alarm ready. On Tuesday morning I took the flight to Texas. The company accommodated me in corporate housing while I found something permanent. It was nicer than my previous apartment, honestly. The first day was pure paperwork, meeting the team, touring the office, and getting settled. On Friday at 10 o'clock sharp, my cell phone started vibrating. First my mom, then my dad, then Chloe. I let them go to voicemail. At noon, my mom started sending text messages. "Where are you? The loan officer is already waiting for us." Then another. "Maya, answer now." Then, "You are making us look very bad. You embarrassed us. Everyone is here." I turned off the cell phone for a while and went to grab lunch with my new team. At 1 my lunch hour, I answered when my mom dialed again. "Where are you?" she shouted without saying hello. "We are here waiting." "I changed my mind," I said calmly. "I am not going to pay for Chloe's condo. You cannot do this to us." "Yes, I can. This is disrespectful," she said, raising her voice more. "I am coming to your apartment right now and taking you to the bank." It made me laugh. Slipped out. "Well, good luck with that, Mom. I do not live there anymore." There was silence. "What do you mean you do not live there?" "I moved to Austin. I got transferred. I am starting another life. And it does not include paying for Chloe's lifestyle." My mom was left without words for a few seconds and then came back with full force. "You cannot abandon your family." "You did not need me," I answered her. "You needed my money." "That is not true. We have always taken care of you." I let out a small laugh of disbelief. "Sure. That is why you did not go to my graduation and went on a trip with Chloe instead. That is why you denied me support when I needed it for tuition and then took out a second mortgage to pay for everything for her. That is why you never call me just to ask how I am. Maya, enough?" I said, referring to myself. "Do not call me again." I hung up and blocked the 3 numbers, my mom's, my dad's, and Chloe's. The following days they tried to call from other numbers, send emails and messages. I did not answer anything until Grandma Rose called me. "How are you doing, honey?" "Good, Grandma. Truly good. Your parents came over yesterday," she told me. "They are very angry. They wanted me to call you to convince you to return and help Chloe." "And what did you tell them?" "That they should take responsibility for what they sowed," she responded firmly. "That they ignored you for years, that they denied you support when you needed it most, and that then they could not expect you to solve a $300,000 problem all by yourself." She paused and said without her voice trembling, "I told them they were delusional." I laughed, now truly with affection. "I love you, Grandma." "They did not like it," she continued. "Your dad, imagine, still had the nerve to tell me that I should stop talking to you if you were not going to help the family." "And what did you do?" "I asked them to leave," she said. "I told them not to come back until they are ready to ask for forgiveness seriously and with actions, not with empty words." 6 months have passed since I moved to Austin. I love my job. I made new friends. I am saving for the down payment on my own house, on mine, not anyone else's. Grandma Rose comes to visit me every few months and we talk on the phone every week. She tells me that Chloe never bought that condo and continues renting in a place that according to her she does not like. My parents are still annoyed, but Grandma Rose does not entertain their complaints anymore. She says she is tired of their selfishness. I do not miss my life from before, not even a little bit. For the first time I feel I am living for me, not to prove something to people who only remembered me when they wanted to get something out of me. And that peace, that freedom I would not trade for anything. Comment. Sometimes the hardest thing we ever have to do is walk away from people who are supposed to love us unconditionally. Realizing your own value often means understanding that you are not just something others can use. Setting a firm boundary is not an act of cruelty, but a necessary step to protect your peace and mental health. We should cherish the genuine connections in our lives, the people who show up for us when we have nothing to offer but ourselves. True family is defined by mutual respect and support, not just shared DNA or obligation. There is a profound sense of freedom that comes from building a life that is entirely your own. You have every right to prioritize your future over the expectations of your past. I hope this story reminds you that it is never too late to choose yourself and start over in a place where you are truly celebrated. Protect your energy, work hard for your dreams, and never apologize for doing what is best for you. Thank you for being here and sharing this journey with me today. If you liked it, Don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.